Tucker Carlson announces a live tour across America, and Swan is a headline sponsor. We discussed this huge announcement that aims to spread Bitcoin education to millions of people across 15 cities in America. Plus, yesterday marked the end of a 50-year agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia, the Petrodollar agreement. What does this mean for geopolitics and the U.S. dollar supremacy? And as the dominoes of a crumbling empire continue to fall, we believe that the truth and honest money, aka Bitcoin, will lead to the most benefit regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on. Welcome to Bitcoin Daily. I'm Dante Cook, head of Swan Business. Okay, first things first. I don't want to bury the lead. Swan is a headline sponsor for Tucker Carlson's upcoming live tour, where we hope to educate hundreds of thousands of people while he's touring through 15 different cities starting in September. Here's a little video promo about the live tour.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. The one thing we know for certain is the United States is going to be one intense place this fall moving into this presidential election. So we thought, what better time to hit the road and see the country? And we're going to this fall. We are pleased, in fact thrilled, to announce Tucker Carlson Live, which is what it sounds like, a nationwide tour. And at every show, we'll be joined by a friend, a special guest, Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Russell Brand, and many others. We're going to be live on stage responding to everything that is happening in real time. It's going to be fun as hell and interesting. You can get tickets at tuckercarlson.com. They are certain to sell out. We encourage you to get one, and we'll see you there.
Some people will believe that Swan is taking a political stance, but in fact, we're doing the exact opposite. We believe that the majority of our societal issues come from broken money, not a broken political system. And so we're not choosing sides here. In fact, this is sort of what led Tucker Carlson and his team to approach Swan. They were looking for an independent money or an independent backer to back them because they are an independent journalism and media company. So when they sought a Bitcoin-only company, Swan was the name that came up for them. And we, like them, believe that Bitcoin, or a solution to the money problem, is a solution for the majority of Americans and the majority of people globally. This tour is aligned with exactly what we're about: education and exposing the truth. As part of this sponsorship, we're giving away a free Bitcoin, or freedom money. You can learn more and enter the sweepstakes by going to swan.com/winabitcoin. To qualify, you simply need to create a Swan account and add a funding source. Whether you're right wing or left wing, it's all the same bird, and that bird is broken money. Which leads me to the first breaking news of the day. Yesterday, on June 9th, after 50 years, the Petrodollar agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States ended, marking the end of potentially what could be the end of U.S. dollar supremacy globally. You see, the Petrodollar agreement said that everyone in the world who bought oil from Saudi Arabia had to pay in U.S. dollars. So it wasn't because we were the greatest nation in the world. It's because we made everyone in the world pay for the commodity that they needed most using our currency, which then made us the world reserve currency. Over time, the weight of our extension into every country, every political regime, every government has gotten so heavy, it's beginning to crush the ideals and desires that the government wanted for the United States dollar in the first place. And as a result, we're exporting inflation to every other nation that holds dollars every time we print money. Listen to this explanation from Representative Thomas Massey on Tucker Carlson's latest show.
So where does it end?
Right now, we're able to finance it because we're the world's reserve currency.
Right.
And when we print more money, which we're doing all the time, the Fed is doing that, we're actually taxing the world. Everybody in the world who holds dollars gets like a 3% transaction fee. I say we're kind of like the credit card at the gas station that gets 3% because you're using that credit card.
Right.
Well, we get 3% from inflation we cause because the world is using our currency. And we can do that as long as they use our currency. But I think it's going to end at some point. They're going to quit using our dollars as reserve currency. I mean, I watched your interview with Putin, and one of the things, you know, whether you hate him or not, one of the things he said that is true is when we sanctioned him, before we sanctioned Russia, 70% of their transactions were in US dollars. And after the sanctions, it's less than 20% of their transactions are in US dollars. So what we're doing with all these sanctions, ironically, we're shooting ourselves in the foot every time we sanction a country and say you can't use our currency to have a transaction. We're taking away our ability to charge them 3% for that transaction, because when we print 3% more dollars, we're just taking that money.
And we're also sending a really clear signal, which is the dollar's not safe for you.
I would argue that it's not just foreign nations who have experienced this impact, but it's everyday people too. You know it's bad when Sky News from the UK is talking about the reality of inflation and not just what we're told.
That's the cost of living crisis. Suddenly we went up from prices being around there to prices being there. And you don't really see that in this data, okay? Because inflation is really just measuring the difference between that and that. And if you look at those two lines, you're talking about a 2.3% change. That's the number we're talking about today. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's about the difference between this and that. And when you look at the difference between this and that, that's 20%. And I think that's the dichotomy here between these inflation numbers where it looks normal and this, which is really not normal at all.
Trust in the United States and the modern West is dwindling by the day. You can see this visually in a chart like this, where China continues to buy more gold and other hard assets and is dumping its U.S. Treasury reserves. Many of the same nations that are doing these same things are opting into their own alliances and their own networks, separate from the dollar. Saudi Arabia's central bank is one of the latest sovereign nations and countries to join a project called mBridget, a cross-border non-US dollar CBDC that allows for international trade, along with China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates. Originally, this project started from the Bank of International Settlements, or BIS, in their innovation arm. Imagine putting your trust in building a CBDC from a guy whose button is screaming for help every time he puts on a suit jacket, rather than trusting in Bitcoin. But that's another discussion. People everywhere are beginning to sense the end of Western dominance in the world. People like Nayib Bukele, who in a recent interview with Tucker Carlson said how he turned around and transformed El Salvador from the most dangerous place in the world, the murder capital of the world, to one of the most prosperous nations in the world. Hear what he has to say about a declining Western civilization.
So what's sad about that is that that's a sign that your defense mechanism no longer works.
Yes.
And that your society is dying.
Yes.
And Spain is in my opinion, a
Western
wonderful
civilization is reaching a point into it will start failing.
Acknowledging the truth about where governments and countries are globally will be more important than ever as we move forward, regardless of whatever side of the political spectrum you're on. Social media has done a lot to expose the corruption that underlies the fabric of our very democracies. And you know what exposes the truth? Bitcoin, every 10 minutes in a global ledger. Bitcoin is a powerful tool to solve corruption, not only in the West, but globally. And this is why we're sponsoring the Tucker Carlson tour. We believe that Bitcoin is like Tucker Carlson and his team, with independent journalism and independent media, independent money. Money that was built outside of the rules and outside of the system, and therefore can't be controlled by the existing system. Moving away from the dollar doesn't rid the world of corruption. Bitcoin will not completely eradicate corruption either, but it levels the playing field. The playing field from the poor in the global south to everyday working blue-collar Americans. We all have an opportunity at freedom, the original American dream. And Bitcoin is freedom money. That's our mission at Swan, to fix the money. We believe that if we can fix the money, we can do our part to fix the world. And with that, we're signing off for today. This is Dante Cook with Swan.com. Happy stacking.